Hello my friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jessie. If you are new here, I do all kinds of lifestyle videos, I vlog, I'm a first-time mom, but one of the things about my channel is that I share our personal finance journey. Just a quick recap if you're new here. My husband and I have quite a bit of debt. We have over $100,000 of debt that we have been trying to wrangle for years now. Some of it is medical debt, but a lot of it is student loan debt. And you know, we're trying to like pay it off while still living our life, and I like to share what that looks like for us. We currently live in Raleigh, North Carolina. We're from the Midwest, though. I'm actually from Wisconsin and he is from Chicago. We have a new baby girl. She is going to be 5 weeks old tomorrow, which is crazy. Today we're going to take a look at my January budget recap, see how that went, and show y'all where we went over budget, where we stayed on budget. Also, one thing I kind of want to start doing again is talking about like goals, not only just like money goals, but like family goals. If you watched one of my last vlogs, I kind of gave a little bit of a hint about some of the moving changes that we are thinking of making this year, and money changes in general, how that could affect us. Once those kind of start moving through, I think I want to start having like goals and like budgeting goals and paying off debt goals. If you didn't watch that video, just like a short quick recap, we are planning on moving sometime before August this year, but we'll see if that actually happens. Financially, it doesn't look like that is possible currently, but we have a couple of money things coming in this year between like Ben's job. Hopefully he'll get a raise and a bonus and things like that, and then he has a couple of investments that we're looking into. I'm going back to work at some point, so I'll have a little bit more of that coming in. We have our tax return, but then there's also big things like our hospital bills for the baby are currently not paid. We don't have them all right now, and they're currently sitting under $5,000, but that's because we haven't gotten all of them yet. If you've ever had a baby before, apparently it's very normal to have to fight with insurance companies and hospitals because hospitals overcharge you for crap, and insurance companies don't like to pay things that they don't want to pay. Once we figure out how much that bill is going to be, I'll definitely tell you guys about it. Without further ado, let's jump into my January budget recap. Okay, here we go. Here is my January budget. If you guys watched my video a couple weeks ago, it looks pretty much the same. It's just now actually filled out. So if you're new here, I fill out this whole section over here for my budget every month. You can watch those videos if you'd like as well. And then now we're gonna go through this column, which is actually talking about like what we actually spent this month, where we went over to budget. I have in red, and then if there's anything that I need to remember, I have it highlighted. So first off, our income, Ben got paid about $100 more than he normally does, but unfortunately next month his income is going down quite significantly. Actually, I believe it's going down like $200 a month based on insurance for adding Ivy to his plan. So that's a little bit unfortunate, but that is, you know, something that we're gonna have to deal with. We had about $185 of rollover from December, and then we got gifted about almost $500 from friends and family for our meal train. So as we get down into it, you'll see that our going out to eat budget was a little bit over budget, which I'm totally fine with because this money covered it. We technically brought in about $8,000 this month with our incomes, which is a great amount of money to bring in. Not so great when you have a lot of debt. So moving on, our fixed expenses were pretty normal. If you've seen these before, our rent, our renter's insurance, our disability insurance, and then our Netflix, Discovery. These things are so messed up. I don't even know what half of these are. I think we're getting charged for Kindle Unlimited twice. I don't know. I need to figure it out. It's very confusing right now, but basically we were overcharged by about $11 for something, and I'm not really sure what it was. The problem is when he left his business and like closed out his business, he transferred all of his like little payments over to our household. So a lot of the stuff comes from his stuff, and I don't know what it is because Ben and I look at budgeting very differently. He is totally on board with me making a budget, and he doesn't really spend a ton of money, to be honest. He definitely isn't a budgeter, so he never looks at our budget. He just kind of spends stuff or asks me if he can spend stuff. So when he gets emails about something being over, like he's getting an extra charge, things like that, he like doesn't see them, whereas I'm like a psycho and totally budgeting like literally everything. We're both on ends of the spectrum that aren't great. Like I'm really high strung about it, and he's like a little bit too relaxed about it. So we're kind of trying to find that medium here. But it was like a $10 overcharge, so I'm not that worried about it. I just want to make sure that it's not something that continues and we're like paying for 2 Kindle Unlimited accounts or something when we don't need to be. Next is car insurance. That was a little bit less just randomly this month by like 4 cents. And then Ben had some apps this month that were a little bit more than normal. Internet. So nothing crazy in this area. We were literally just barely $11 over budget. Moving on to our debt. All of these were exact because they are always exact, but this is our debt. Currently $1,700 per month that we pay toward ridiculous debt. I hate it so much. These two are our federal loans that are still in deferment. So that's something that we're also keeping in mind when we're thinking about possibly moving, is that we have probably $250 worth of debt payments that'll be added back in. Even if we like get rid of, you know, one of these debts by then, it's gonna go right back up because of the federal stuff. I'm not feeling super confident about the Supreme Court doing anything to help people with student loan debt, so I'm assuming that we'll be paying those come June. So our total fixed expenses and debt, we spent about $3,700 this last month, which is almost half of our income. Moving on to groceries and our variable expenses area. Groceries, we were under budget. We're definitely going to be over budget in February. We spent a little bit more, you'll see, on restaurants and coffee shops this month versus groceries because we got a lot of meals out because we had a newborn baby and we just weren't cooking as often. We also bought a lot of groceries and a lot of them went to waste, which I wasn't very happy about because groceries are expensive right now, but hopefully we'll be a little bit better here in February. That's our goal, is to be better about that. Costco, we spent $195.11. Restaurants and coffee shops, we spent $500. You can kind of see I put all the places that we go over here. It's crazy to me that like these places equaled $500. Like, I just feel like food is so expensive, and I have lived in Raleigh now. I'm going on my 3rd year, and I'm just like not super excited about the food here. I don't know if I'm just like missing something or if it's like the food near where I live, but there's nothing really great. So we don't go out to many places, but I just feel like when we do get food, it's just like super overpriced for what it is. So, and then there's obviously like Chick-fil-A and random things like that in there. Medication and supplements, we went well over budget, about $76. This is what happens when I let Ben go to the supplement store. He bought 3 supplements and it was like $200. They were for me, but they weren't supplements that, I don't like taking supplements. So he's very excited about supplements and he will like purchase them and hope that I will take them, and I don't like taking supplements. So it's just like this constant overspending that we do that we're trying to get better about. One of the supplements that he bought was important for me. It's like a digestive enzyme because I've been having a lot of stomach issues since I gave birth. This is an area, these 4, I would say, are the things that Ben and I argue about the most. If you saw, I'll link it, but we did a budget with me together, and these are definitely the areas that we normally get irritated with. Ben would rather spend most of our money on groceries, Costco, and medication and supplements, whereas I don't think those need to be, I mean, $530 isn't that bad, but like the budgeted amounts I think are a little bit overpriced, especially because we end up throwing away a lot of groceries. So those are kind of the areas that I get irritated with him, especially the medications and supplements, and then he gets irritated with me on on the going out to eat and like coffee and stuff. So we kind of are trying to figure that out. We've been trying to figure that out for years. We used to be like really strict with our budget, and now we're not as strict. So I think when we were really strict, we used to fight about those a lot, but we're getting better at it and having those conversations. Next was household. We only spent about $105, which is still a good amount, but we spent them on air filters and Amazon. Ivy's budget area, Ivy's my daughter, we went over by about $35. This I included was also postpartum, just because I had to buy some stuff. I got home on January 1st, so I had to buy some postpartum stuff. If you haven't, well, I haven't put up my birth story yet, but I'll put up my birth vlog. I ended up having an unplanned C-section, so there were like quite a few things I needed to purchase and a few things that I sent back. You'll see there's like a couple of Amazon refunds. I think I bought 2 nightgowns, backrest. Before I gave birth, I bought, you know, like sitz baths and these certain types of things for a vaginal birth, and then I had a C-section, so like a lot of the sweatpants I bought didn't fit me, or they did fit me, but they hurt my C-section scar. So I bought like a lot of nightgowns and things like that that would kind of help with that. Also, Ivy is partially formula fed, partially breast milk fed, because I have a low supply. So we also weren't intending on having to purchase formula and formula is expensive, but it's what we have to do. So formula is also included in that. So I did budget quite a bit, but we kind of spend it on a lot of things that I wasn't expecting. We didn't have to buy any clothes or diapers or anything yet. We might have to start buying diapers and diaper wipes in February. So if you saw my February budget, then you'll see that. But yeah, we had quite a bit of that stuff from my baby shower, which was great. Moving on to beauty, we spent about $40 over budget. I think, oh, it's because I got a pedicure. I don't normally get pedicures, but mine was like so grown out. I think I got mine done in like October, and my toenails were like super grown out and driving me crazy. So I got a manicure and a pedicure, which was over budget, but that is okay. It was needed. It's the only time I've been out of the house by myself since giving birth, so it also was necessary mentally. Moving on to personal spending, we spent $142.59, so we were a little bit under budget. I bought my face lotion, which was like over $100, yeah, $115. And then Ben bought some Oracle cards for himself that were $26. So nothing crazy there. $0 in therapy. I think I talked about this last time, but I think I'm gonna not go to therapy for a while, and there's no use in me finding a new therapist here if we end up moving out of state. Doctors, we spent $160. That was a lactation consultant appointment. We had to pay her $40 for her travel. Ivy had 3 chiropractor appointments, and that's a $40 copay, so that is $160. We spent $227.75 on utilities. We only had these 2 utilities this month. $89.78 on car. So technically, so we only got gas twice, it looks like, but then we had 2 Uber charges because Ben had to take the car to get tires, which was expensive, but that's in our February budget. So I already paid that, but that was like $820. But we only have 1 car. So he had to take an Uber back home and then Uber back there later to pick it up, so that he wasn't just sitting at this tire place all afternoon and I was alone with the baby. So that's where those charges came in. I was telling him, I don't even remember the last time that we've used Uber, probably when we lived in the city of Chicago, which would have been like 5 years ago. Next is Cora and Finn. We spent $386. I did budget $450 because we paid the person that watched the dogs while we were in the hospital, which was about $200. I think I was expecting it to be a little bit more. And then we bought food twice, toys, and Kabbalah coin for Cora, which is one of her supplements that she takes, which does mean that we'll probably have to buy her allergy pills next month, which are really expensive. They're like $160 every other month. Which reminds me, we're thinking of getting pet insurance. If you have any good options for pet insurance that isn't astronomically high. I was actually very surprised how expensive pet insurance can be, but I really think that we should start paying for that, but I want to make sure that it actually covers something, because I think sometimes pet insurance, you pay so much for it and then it doesn't cover anything. So I do want it for the just in case, you know, like Finn went to the ER vet this last summer, which was over $2,000 that we weren't anticipating. And Cora's just getting a little bit older, so, you know, if anything comes up for her, I just never want to be in a position where like we can't afford to help them. And I know that pet insurance can be really helpful for that, but I also know that they can kind of F you over. So if you have any recommendations for pet insurance, let me know. Miscellaneous buffer was only about $33. Looks like Venmo payment for something for Ben, which I still have no idea what it actually was, and then something was off by $10.71. So we're getting charged $10.71 somewhere like multiple times, and I don't really know where that's coming from. So I need to have Ben check his accounts again. So we spent $3,000. We were actually under budget by almost $300 this month, which is great because usually our variable space is like well over budget if you watch my videos. And then we were a little over budget on birthdays and holidays. There was a Discover payment that I had to pay for Ben. That's his credit card that has a $0 balance, but every now and then we'll put something on there if it's going to be like a big charge to make sure that we have the money in the account first. I think it's just because we've had such money issues in the past, it just like helps us feel better. But he bought me a push present. He bought a bunch of stuff from Amazon. One or two of the things we brought back because it just wasn't something that I was going to use, and he wasn't sure about it anyway. But when he returned it to Amazon, he accidentally returned it as like Amazon credit. There was like $150 from our budget that was just like gone. So that's kind of why our household budget is low this month, because we probably spent $100 on other household stuff that we just used his Amazon, like the money that was sitting in there from this. Does that make sense? We had about $928 left over this month, which is great. Granted, about 500 of that was from gifts, so really 400 of that is our own rollover, like money that we didn't spend, which I still think is good. We were able to push over $928 to next month, which covered the cost of the tires. We didn't have to pay for the tires out of like savings or anything like that, which is great because we're probably gonna need our savings for the hospital bills because they're ridiculous. I hate the American healthcare system, but that's a whole other story for another day. I hope that you enjoyed learning a little bit more about what we spent in January. I think it was overall a really good month. I think there's some places that we definitely can do some work on, like our food budget, our supplement budgets, and just making sure that these other budgets, like our personal spending and all of those things, are actually being spent on things that we need. I think last year we definitely kind of like just bought stuff that we wanted, whereas this year we're trying to be a little bit more strategic since we have some big things coming up with a possible move, which would mean that our rent would go up, like all kinds of stuff like that. But that's for a whole nother video. I'm just like rambling right now. So I hope that you all have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.